Hey wadau, I'm your host Dr. Kingori, and our guest for this episode is the host. Now, most of the videos on this platform have been dedicated or lean towards the idea of financial success and understanding how money works. Now, after several conversations with distinguished guests who have experience in that sector and come from different backgrounds, I have noticed a pattern about money, and I hope by the end of this video, we can get to answer the question of what is so special about the people who achieve financial success. My personal curiosity has always been like, do we all have a chance to make it? All factors remain constant. Do we all have a chance to achieve financial success as we dream of? But then again, my first money teacher, God Semelang, one of the finest guests we had on this platform, already told us we all expect the world to be fair, but it's not.
I used to complain that the world is unfair. So I had a friend who told me, who told you it should be fair? Because that's how the world is. It's unfair.
Yes.
There will always there will always be those who will be rich, and there will be those who will be poor.
When it comes to financial success, I tend to believe, I'm inclined to believe that we underestimate the concept of being at the right place at the right time. Okay? Let me give an example. In 1971, something happens, something financial that changed the lives of very many people. They called it the coffee boom. So apparently, Brazil is a lead exporter of coffee in the world market, okay? So in 1971, all their crops gets destroyed by frost. So inamaanisha, the demand for coffee in the global market shoots. Then something else happens in 1971. Uganda is under the leadership of the dictator Idi Amin Dada. So now, because of its eccentric ways, the US bans cancels their annual deal of importing 25 billion Kenya shillings worth of Ugandan coffee. And 25 billion in 1971 is a big deal. Like, that's a lot of money. So now an enterprising group of businessmen in Kenya took advantage of the situation. They started smuggling coffee from Uganda, repackaging it and marketing it abroad as Kenyan coffee. And this move alone made several millionaires. Tukitoa the moral question of whether this was ethical or not, these people were in the right place at the right time, and I believe they had the right setting, because ini ile deal, yani deal imeiva. Like, there's a market, there's a product, and you have capital or access to capital. Okay? Tutoke 1971, kuja in the early 2000s. In the early 2000s, there's a familiar story and a very interesting pattern that happens to three people who we've had a privilege to have as guests on our show. So early 2000s, the mobile phones zinaanza kupenetrate the Kenyan market. The first person I would like to give an example of is Dr. Esther Mushemi, who we've had a privilege of having as a guest on our show. So in 2000 and early 2000, 1998, 2002, between that period, Dr. Esther Mushemi starts a business ya kuuza Safaricom SIM cards. She detailed that story in an episode that we featured her on. The link is available hapa chini ya description ya hii video. And she starts a business with 50,000 Kenya shillings. So na hii 50,000 Kenya shillings, unasikianga people talking about what business can I start with X amount of money. There's a very interesting variable here, and I think we'll discuss that later in this video. By the way, what's special about the people who make it financially? If we have two people, moja akona capital ya 1 million, mwingine akona 1 million, what determines the success of one over the other? So Dr. Esther Mushemi starts selling SIM cards, and then she pivots into the sale of mobile phones, and turns out it is the right time.
I had only 50,000 shillings, and that's what I used to start my business.
I'm very interested in
Yes.
that part.
Just, and for real, bere na nyuma, hiyo tu ndio nilikuwa naye.
This 50,000,
Yes.
This 50,000 is
Yes.
for the rent.
Yeah.
It covers the rent. It covers the investment for the stock of what you're buying. The strategy of, like, let's say for example, do you buy items worth 50,000 today, then you sell, you carry forward the profit margin?
The other source of my capital that helped me at that time, so that I don't mislead the people, is support from your creditor. Do you know creditors can support you? People who give you money, yes.
Now, wakuwe na interest.
No, I mean, if somebody gives me my phones, for argument's sake, because I used to sell phones on credit, I am not, they give me the phones on credit, and then I sell, I pay them there, their money and I'm left with the profits. I did not use my money. I used their money, and creditors should be respected. They are very, very important people. People run away from creditors. When somebody has given you goods, you run away. Dr. Kengori, I can tell you today, with no fear of contradiction, the greatest currency that I have is integrity. It is what has saved me. It is what has helped me to become who I am. I had people, I won't name them, who towards as I demonstrated my growth, they could put in even as much as 10 million today. Tell me, Esther, go and buy airtime. We'll come for it in the evening.
10 million.
Oh, yes, I can tell you that. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You start with 50,000.
Yes.
Start selling.
Yes.
First of all, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
This is where being at the right time, at the right place comes in, because you're among the first people
yes.
to do retail
yes.
on mobile phones and
yes.
airtime.
True. To be honest, it gave you an advantage. You get it? It gave us an advantage. If today you tell me to start that business, today, as I know it, I won't touch it. Because, I mean, first of all, the market has been saturated, the principles have changed and all that. But yes, you are the first. Everybody was not understanding what this thing is. I will even tell you, even me, Safaricom, the head of sales, came to my office to discuss the relationship. These days, we go looking for them. Maybe you can't get them because you are among the first. And the advantage I had is that I had a shop when they were opening. So I'm sure you have had this where they call me to you number one. I'm not sure that it is so, but that's what people say.
Yes.
That's what people say. But it's only because I was there. And I took the opportunity, and not only did I take the opportunity, I ran with it. There were many people who were there. Why didn't they pick the opportunity?
And her story is also similar with another guest who we've had a privilege of having as a guest on the show, and it was Sapna Deadly. Sapna Deadly, from just the problem of not finding a place she can buy a computer, start selling computers. And then from selling computers, she pivots into selling mobile phones and starts what ends up becoming one of the biggest mobile phone distributors in Kenya at the time, inaitwa PhoneLink. Okay?
We ended up with 7 retail outlets.
7.
All over the country.
Yes.
We got our head office in Dubai, where all our shipments were consolidated.
From one problem solving of you needing a
Yes.
laptop.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was living through Dubai. My children were in Kenya, so I was up and down a lot, traveled a lot. We got distribution for Dell, Gateway, Toshiba, HP, you name it. We became distributors. Then I opened a distributor, CompuLinks. That was my firm that became the distributor to PC World, as well as all the other companies, computer companies.
So when you're starting, it's not like, I'd like this vision
No.
to grow. I want to be the number one supplier of computers in the country.
Honestly speaking, there was no vision. I took it a step at a time. When I saw, okay, this is the way this business is going, what should I do now? So it was step by step by step. It was built on baby steps, if I'm honest.
Like you said,
to
the
what it
what next mindset.
Yeah, it was just what next. Oh, there you go.
The what
That was
next
another
mindset.
what next. What should I do next? And from there stemmed Safaricom. I had a separate company where I was selling Safaricom lines at that time. It was really a big thing. So I diversified into mobile phones, distributor for Safaricom. So I diversified a lot from
Then you
that.
must have crossed paths somewhere with one of our guests on the show, who was also one of Safaricom's distributors at
Who
this
was
time,
that?
Dr. Esther Mushemi from Samchi. And then now we have another guest we've had on the show, who recently now reveals something that also shows us something about a pattern and opportunity, whether you take it and whether you don't take it. Tony Mello, one of our favorite people. So Tony Mello recently reveals to us on an episode that in this same era, he had the opportunity to invest in the mobile phone business, like hiyo kuleta handsets, ilikuwa na pesa in those early 2000s. And then he didn't take it.
You have to look at what is happening, what is new. Remember, like when phones came. I mean, personally, I missed that opportunity. I spoke to one of the main guys in the technology sector. Akaniambia, boss, that time I was doing we were doing installation of telecommunication equipment, BTSs, and we were making money. Mse akaniambia, boss, wacha na hii story. The real money is in gadgets.
The mobile phones.
Gadgets. In fact, the guy was like, to make it easy, we even imported the initial handsets zenye ulikuwa unaweza charge.
The initial handsets zenye
No, as in desktop. Hizi za kuinua, ziko na cable, ziko na wire. So there are some, initially kuna zile zilikuwa zimefungiliwa kabisa, but the others we could charge. So ukicharge you can actually, it's like a mobile, but you can move around with it. So you can charge. So akaniambia hii, and then now, but then I never proceeded to getting into the mobile space. So the issue is that there are seasons, and the biggest problem we have is a lot of entrepreneurs miss seasons in business and in their line of business. And when I talk about seasons, it doesn't mean that the whole thing changes. It's like now moving from those handsets, the table handsets, unajua hizo simu za cable to mobile. From zile za QWERTY keyboard to touch screen. You get? And now moving on to wherever we are moving towards. So sometimes the move is little or it's light, but then it makes a big difference. But sometimes it's a whole new setup. For example, before the mobile phones came, there used to be pagers.
Yes.
You get? Yani those things zilioshwa kabisa.
Kabisa.
Yani mpaka you are like, how could there be a business like that? Because you're basically sending SMSs. And you are paying 75 bob, 100 bob per SMS.
Na utapata kuna mtu alikuwa ameingiza container ya pager.
Pagers, exactly. But the initial guys walikuwa washaondoka hiyo story. Kama kuna mtu alichomeka, mtu alikuwa anaingia hiyo time. The original guys walikuwa washaondokea. Walikuwa washaondokea.
So you have to be very, very conscious.
Very, very conscious.
Well, guess what? The two ladies went ahead to become billionaires. Aya, hiyo ni example number 2. Example number 3. I have a friend, a personal friend of mine, who is one of the most brilliant minds I've ever met. Jamaa wa statistics, mathematics. I think he sleeps and dreams mathematics. One of my favorite people. He's under 40 years old, but lives the lifestyle. In my own words, I can describe the lifestyle of the traditional 70-year-old retiree mwenye amework all his career, so he has made money, nini. And there's an interesting element to this. I asked him if by his academic qualifications and he gets a job, he would be able to drive his dream car, which is the car he's driving now. He said no. And guess what? He benefited from something that is familiar to very many Kenyans, online writing. Okay? Online writing comes at a season where graduates, people in campus, some people made a killing. But if you try that now, no business. People are complaining that it has dwindled. But there was a time it would actually give you the lifestyle, yeah, wale watu sema, I want to retire early. You understand? That's example number 2. I'll give more details. Example number 3 is something very close to me and from someone very close to me. One of my cousins is the most hardworking people I've ever met. Okay? And his story starts in 2002 when he starts practice. So he has over 20 years experience in the motor vehicle industry as a body repair man and a businessman. So he is in the business and he's also a repairman. So juzi I asked him in a one-on-one conversation, very easy, polite. Nikamuuliza, hey, Mike, if someone, wewe na hiyo business experience, he's the most ardent saver I've ever met. Like he's proper in terms of principles of accumulation ya ile kidogo unapata you put aside, he is the best, hands down. Okay? So I get in a conversation with him. Kamuuliza, hey Mike, mse kama wewe na the skills you've learned about money, self-taught, if someone gave you 3 million bob, you'd probably be on the path to becoming a billionaire. And he was like, not even 3 million, just 1 million bob. So I asked him for his business model. And he was like, yeah. If only he could get 1 million shillings and say travel to outside the country to buy the parts that he buys locally, the profit margins for him would make a lot of sense. But there's a problem with this business model. Chances are he's been timed out. Okay? The time factor may not be on his side because people also know in terms of businesses that people made money from, the imports and imports business. Wacha niseme imports and export, that's two different things. The imports business, kuna season yenye people really made a lot of money. Right now, the market is so open that it's not an advantage to actually know where you can source things from outside the country. So now, in the concept of the time factor of financial success, Mike started his experience in 2002. If someone gave him this access to capital in the year 2008, he would be a stable millionaire by now. Am I making sense? Do you see a pattern up to this point? Now, to further explore the concept of being at the right place at the right time, let me give a recent example. Nominated Senator Gloria Orwoba was on the Econini podcast, and while explaining how she gets into the system, how she gets linked with the first opportunity, she explained, and this was one of the highlights for me in that conversation. It's very long, political nini. If you want to watch the full episode, we have a link to it kwa description ya video. But this stood out for me.
Kampuni nilifanya diploma ya architecture, JKUAT affiliate, hapo Westin. Then also nilifanya degree ya social work nje. Alafu sasa namalizia degree ya leadership and management.
Alafu ulijipataje job ya kwanza ni sarakasi? Ulijipataje sarakasi?
Nilimaliza my architecture and then we were told, you know how you go for internship?
Yeah.
So at that time there's a friend of mine, is there a friend of mine? Yeah, there's a friend of mine who was dating a white person. And then that white person was in the UN. So I'm sure, you hook up my pal with an internship. So nikajipata internship at the UN. Now at the UN, my boss's boss was the founder of Sarakasi. Rudy Van Dyke. Yeah. So when I was completing, it was so weird. We were having lunch with my boss at the UN, and then my boss's boss akakuja kumwongelesha, akamwintro, akamwambia, this is our intern from architecture, nini, blah, blah, blah. Akasema, oh, we just bought a building. Yeah, and maybe you should come and have a look. So mimi wakujituma nikasema, by the way, when? Kanaambia hiyo weekend. Nikaenda. So kuenda, it was a dump site. That time Shantina was a dump site. Yeah. And then I said, I just want to be given this project. Nini, I was excited about life. So akanaambia, in fact, kuja. Wewe ndio utakuwa our liaison for architectural works. Then now from there, that's how I got the one for Holland. You see, all things align.
Okay. Boom. That sets her up and an opportunity yenye in ripple effect is linked to all the other opportunities that she gets. I believe, if you ask me, right place at the right time, my explanation or what I think of it. Now, wachana na hiyo, another familiar story. One of Kenya's finest entrepreneurs, according to the videos of him, nimeona Tony Ndongo. Tony Ndongo akiwa kwa Financially Incorrect podcast. He also explains how he gets hooked up with internship at the UN. And these stories are very familiar. Niko sure you now when you think about it, you have examples, loads and loads of examples of perfect timing na opportunity, how someone gets an opportunity.
I was 20 in uni. I remember this very clearly. I was doing international relations and journalism as a double degree situation. I was at one of these student association council places in USIU, and this guy, Husto Casal, never forget his name, he came running, like he's crazy. And we were like 12 friends, and he's like, do you guys want to do an internship at UNHCR? I'm like, I'm sorry, repeat one more time. I didn't even know what UNHCR stood for, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Yeah. And he said they're looking for interns to work in Dadaab and Kakuma for a year. Do you want to come? Husto's dad was a diplomat, and he had all these insights in the UN.
Right.
And so we all missed class and ran into this one van. Remember, we were 12.
Yeah.
One van that a friend of ours owned, drove to UN here in Westlands, actually where this building is located.
Yeah.
Is exactly where that place was.
Yeah.
Interviewed, and the next day got jobs. And 2 weeks after, we were in the Dadaab refugee camp earning 250,000 shillings a month. This is 2000. The year 2000. My mom was a lecturer at USIU. She wasn't earning that much.
There's loads and loads of examples kama hizi vile nasema of people wenye wanajipata in getting opportunities in unconventional ways which can be described depending on who you ask, either blessings or luck. But for purposes of this conversation, let's say this qualifies the concept of the role of luck in financial success. All right? So now, tukuje kwa the idea ya access to money. Okay? Kuna watu you hustle from the bottom to the top. Kuna watu who we call old money. Okay? And old money ukiangalia ama proper money, hiyo yenye tunaita wild success, it's so much to do with luck, and in terms of wealth distribution it can be simply described as unfair. There's a paper imeandikwa na two gentlemen ama ni three people, very wonderfully written paper. Imeandikwa, it's a 2018 paper by A. Pluchino, A. E. Biondo, and A. Rapsoda. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's titled Talent versus Luck and the Role of Randomness in Success and Failure. And one of, to qualify how unfair the distribution of wealth is, they write that 8 individuals, other individuals ni overstating, 8 men hold the same wealth as the poorest half of humanity. Like 8 people, watu wanane, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hold the wealth equal to over 3.6 billion people. Watu wanane in terms of wealth distribution, okay? So hii kitu tunaitanga, like, that's just an example of how unfairly wealth is distributed. But then sasa kuna another element. Kuna, vile nimesema, kuna people who hustle from the bottom to the top, okay? And kuna watu wenye old money or inherited nini. Sasa tena, old money is a whole different conversation. The people who made money. Have you explored how the so-called old money was made? Yes, we are not denying that there are people who made their money on merit. 100%. I hope we can explore that in the conversations that come. Aya, kwa kitabu ya nani, one of my favorite books, inaitwa Why Nations Fail. It's written by Daron Acemoglu and James A. Robinson. There's a place when I explain in terms of colonialism, and this is one of the murky areas of wealth creation. They have a piece that actually caught my attention. The Spanish strategy of colonization was highly effective. First perfected by Cortes in Mexico, it was based on the observation that the best way for the Spanish to subdue opposition was to capture the indigenous leader. This strategy enabled the Spanish to claim accumulated wealth of the leader and coerce the indigenous peoples to give tribute and food. The next step was setting themselves up as the new elite of the indigenous society and taking control of the existing methods of taxation, tribute, and particularly forced labor. Angalia the wealth creation link to forced labor, cheap labor from your time ya nini, and I hope we can, tukifika kwa wealth creation na hizo pesa za kitambo in the consequent episodes, we will explore that. So this qualifies the statement by my first money teacher on the show, Gor Semelango, when he said that sometimes you hope the game to be fair, but who told you it is fair? In the same 2018 paper, Role of Randomness in Success and Failure, they submit that an averagely talented person with luck, like mtu hata ana talent, but they are lucky, will be more successful than a more talented person who is unlucky. Like ushaiona, someone has an opportunity, and I believe this, when I say this, it rings government. Like, how did this person get the job, okay? Those examples are many, najua uko nazo kwa akili. And I think we can qualify this statement with very many examples. An averagely talented person who is lucky will be more successful than a more talented person who is unlucky. And that paper has very interesting submissions, including, and this is very interesting, that individuals with noble-sounding surnames are found to work more as managers than as employees, and that females with masculine monikers are more successful in legal careers, and that roughly half of the variance in incomes across persons worldwide is explained only by their country of residence and by the income distribution within that country, and the probability of becoming CEO is strongly influenced by your name or your month of birth. Can you imagine that? So sisi hapa tunataka ku understand how money works. So my submission to you is, tunasema hard work. How much, and I hope that you indulge me, please let's engage in this conversation. How much does luck have to do with financial success? Because kuna people who work hard, and you work hard all your life and you never get to taste the so-called financial success. You never get to taste the so-called financial freedom. Na tumekuwa na many conversations, and some of the submissions I'm making, I'm a big fan of conversation. Some of the submissions I'm making are based on conversations we've had on these platforms, observations I've made in personal life. So now please, as we engage in this conversation, I'm in the comments. Please, let's engage. Who do you think? Please give us guest suggestions of people who you believe we can have a conclusive conversation on about the idea, role of luck in financial success, and possibly, of course, that paper gives ideas on how you can, yes, luck plays a big role, but there's a way you can bypass luck. We know our situation. From wherever you are watching this from, what do you think is the standard that can solve this age-old concept that really can save people from being in a rut? You keep working and you probably never see financial success. Do you think there's a universal formula for everyone to make it? Do you think there's an equal chance for people to achieve financial success? Ama, it's the system that we have created for ourselves as human beings is what jinxes us. Unajua, saa ingine sisi ucomplicate biashara bure, yet technology is upon us to make everything easier. Imagine having a tool that gives you real-time updates about what your customers want, as in what products sell the most and when. Yes, all that is possible and more thanks to the Odoo point of sale, ama POS in short. Now, let me not jump the gun hapa, ama in a polite language, wacha nisikuwe na kierere. Tuanze na Odoo ni nini? Odoo is an all-in-one suite of applications designed to simplify your daily business operations, whether it's accounting, inventory management, hata kwa manufacturing. Odoo has you covered from when your business is at the beginner stage to when your business hits the big leagues. Sasa turudi kwa Odoo POS, the Odoo point of sale. Iko na features moto sana kama reliability both online and offline. This means you can continue selling with or without internet, alafu the system will automatically synchronize your offline orders ukirudi kwa mtandao. Kwa watu wa kuuza kwa events kwa ground ama mobile kiosk, hii ita come through majorly. And that's just a tip of the iceberg in terms of the features that the Odoo POS inakuja nazo. The system is intuitive and very easy to use. Anyone can set it up in just a few clicks. Alafu, you can set it up on any device, ikwe ni tablet, monitor, ama mobile phone. Now, for a small business, you can set up the Odoo point of sale ama POS on your smartphone. Alafu na connect na Bluetooth printer and start selling right away. Alafu, good vibes on top of good vibes. The first application you choose on Odoo is free for life, and that includes hosting and support. Alafu, as your business grows, you can add more apps on need basis at a very affordable price. To get started, very easy. Just use the link tumekuwekea hapa kwa description ya hii video.